was a loser. Total, complete loser. After all, he had come to bring about a new world, the kingdom of God, a place, a time of love, of reconciliation, of justice, of peace, of forgiveness. But he could certainly see on that first Palm Sunday that this was not just about to happen. After all, how many in the crowd acclaiming him were acclaiming him for the wrong reasons? He could sense that because so many of his own disciples didn't understand what this kingdom of God was about. They insisted it meant throwing out those hated Romans, getting rid of the foreigners, restore Israel to its greatness, have us live the way we always wanted to live, and use violence to do it. The Messiah would be the one to call down lightning from the heavens and destroy the foe. And even those in that crowd acclaiming him, who had a better understanding of what he was about, his own disciples had something of that understanding, who realized what he really wanted to accomplish, but they were going to be tremendously disappointed over the next few days when they saw that it was not to be accomplished, because the one who was to bring it about was executed as a criminal. And yet, even as he faced that execution, even as he faced the way in which all would look at him as the consummate loser, Jesus never gave up his love, his basic principles. Look at the way on the night before he was to die, he shared himself so fully with his disciples, even though he had to predict that Peter would deny him. Look at the way later that night in the garden, as he was being arrested, he healed one of the very people who was coming to bring him to execution. Look at the way he told his disciples, put those swords away. That's not the way this is meant to be accomplished. Look at the way in which, on the cross itself, he forgave the criminal who repented. And above all, look at the way in which, hanging there in agony, he still said, Father, forgive them. They do not know what they do. That's the power of love, the power of the cross, as you and I believe in it. Or at least as you and I want to believe in it. Because it's difficult to believe that, isn't it? Just 2 weeks ago, I buried a close friend, Rabbi Paul Kushner. Paul and I have been friends for 30 years. He's highly respected in the Jewish community. I felt very honored to be one of just 3 clergy who preached at his funeral, 2 rabbis and myself. But I will always remember, until my dying day and perhaps beyond, one out of the many conversations about faith that we had. Because I remember Paul saying to me, I have the greatest respect for Jesus of Nazareth. I think he was one of the greatest rabbis that Judaism has ever given to the world. I put him right up there with Moses and Hillel and the Baal Shem Tov. But I think that some of his teaching was naive. And I think, therefore, I have to say to you, Don, what you Christians believe is naive. He taught, and you believe, or at least you claim to believe, that violence can only be overcome by peace, not by more violence. You believe that hatred can only be overcome by love, not by more hatred. You believe that selfishness can only be overcome by self-giving, not by more selfishness. That's beautiful, Paul said. That's wonderful. But it's naive. Sometimes I wish I could believe it, but I can't. Sometimes I wonder, though, now speaking for myself, whether we find ourselves in the same position. In that conversation, I did say to him, well, Paul, the reason that we Christians can say we believe this is that we see it all as part of a process. Yes, we believe that the victory was won completely by Jesus in his death and resurrection, but that it still needs to play itself out in every generation. And I gave the examples to him because he had said one of the reasons he finds it difficult to accept that belief is that that has not been his experience, has not been the experience of the Jewish people. And I said to him, the Nazis were destroyed at the end of World War II. But neo-Nazism, race hatred, still continues to pop up and still needs to be faced. It's not over yet. Slavery was ended in the United States at the end of the Civil War. But racism still continues to pop up, still needs to be addressed. If we had been having that conversation this year, I probably would have said to him, the caliphate of ISIS has been completely wiped out. But the attitude, the way of misinterpreting Islam to say that it should lead people to commit acts of terror, that still continues. And that remains as the challenge for us as we look at our world, as we look at our own lives. We continue to ask ourselves, do I really believe in the victory of the cross? Do I really believe in the ultimate victory of love? Because there are so many who say to us that it can't be true. Good people like Rabbi Paul would say, it's a beautiful thing, but naive. But how many others, leaders in the media, leaders in entertainment, leaders in the highest levels of government say to us, that's stupid, and you're fools to believe that. Anyone other than a fool gets back at people, doesn't try to love. Well, my fellow fools, here we are at the beginning of Holy Week, asking the Spirit of God to help us more and more come truly to understand, truly to believe the power of the cross, the power of the victory of love, so that we can allow that love to continue to grow within us and to spread from us into our broken world.